must have misspelling or fat-fingered it or something, but Marty Heinley, operates the Purple Butterflies Daycare LLC, has submitted a request for a use on review of an in-home business which will be used as a daycare at 3385 Canyon View Court in Sturgis. Legal description for this property is Lot 9 of Canyon View Estates, City of Sturgis, Meade County, South Dakota. Property is zoned as medium-density residential. Marty submitted the application for a use on review to operate an in-home daycare business. The proposed use is a daycare serving a maximum of 12 children, ranging in age from 3 months to 10 years. In-home daycare operations are permitted in residential zone districts subject to the approval of a use on review by the Board of Adjustments and following the recommendation from the Planning Commission. The proposed business operations, again, would be a maximum enrollment of 12 children, ages 3 months to 10 years. Hours of operation would be Monday through Friday from approximately 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Parents are expected to drop off the children between 6 and 7, and pickup times are anticipated between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. Traffic is expected to be intermittent and limited to passenger vehicle types, residential use. This particular property is located in the Canyon View is a cul-de-sac, and this property is at the end of the cul-de-sac. Noise levels are anticipated to remain consistent with normal residential activity. Outdoor activity, if any, would occur during the daytime hours. There will be no signage being proposed on this property. As far as the neighborhood compatibility, the applicant has indicated that the daycare will operate in a manner that does not create nuisances, hazards, or adverse impacts to the surrounding properties. The use is intended to remain subordinate to the residential character of the neighborhood. The surrounding area consists primarily of residential uses. The proposed in-home daycare is intended to function within the existing residential setting without altering the character of the neighborhood. In accordance with our ordinance, the public notification requirement was mailed out, certified mail to the property owners within 200 feet. The notification did describe both this meeting tonight and the date and time of the public hearing, which will be through the Board of Adjustment. In reviewing a use on review application, the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustments should consider whether the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, will not be a detriment to the public health, safety, or welfare, will not create excessive traffic, noise, or parking issues, and is consistent with the intent of the zoning district. Also, they should review whether or not any uses can be conditioned if necessary to mitigate any potential impacts. Staff has reviewed this application and finds that the in-home daycare facilities are commonly considered compatible with residential neighborhoods when appropriate, limited in size and hours. The proposed maximum enrollment of 12 children is consistent with this type of in-home daycare operation. Traffic impacts are expected to be minimal and limited to short drop-off and pickup periods. No signage or exterior changes are proposed that would alter the residential appearance of that property. Staff does find that with this request as proposed, it meets the general intent of the use on review criteria, provided the operation remains consistent with the submitted application. Should the Planning Commission recommend approval, staff suggests that the following conditions should be considered by the Board of Adjustment: that the in-home daycare is limited to a maximum of 12 children. The hours of operation are limited to Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. No signage shall be permitted on the property. The use shall remain subordinate to the residential use of the property, and any expansion or change in the scope of the business would require additional review and approval. Based on this, staff recommendation is to recommend approval of the use on review for the in-home daycare at 3385 Canyon View Court, subject to the recommended conditions or any additional condition deemed necessary by the Planning Commission. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
I don't have any questions.
Is there any public input? Any other comments or concerns from the board?
Not here.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion.
I've got a first by Alex,
I'll second.
second by Dusty. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next action item is recommendation for use on review at 206 Tulsa Drive in Sturgis.
Thank you. Applicant here is Jeremy Moore. He has requested a use on review for an in-home business, which would consist of a vehicle repair, media content creation. The property is located at 206 Tulsa Drive in Sturgis, which is Lot 10 of Block 1 of Interstate Acres. This is located up in the David Drive area up against the interstate right-of-way. This property is zoned as medium-density residential. Applicant Jeremy Moore has submitted an application for a use on review to operate an in-home vehicle repair business located at 206 Tulsa Drive. The proposed use includes limited vehicle repair activities conducted within the residential adjoining garage and the creation of self-help YouTube videos related to vehicle projects. In-home businesses are permitted in this residential zoning district and are subject to approval of the use on review by the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustments. The proposed business talking to Jeremy, he's relocating from Arizona and kind of operates this same business now where he helps some of his neighbors, whatever, do different repairs and then creates YouTube videos, self-help, like how to change brakes or how to flush a cooling system and these types of things. It would be on a limited basis where he says probably 2 to maybe 4 at most of these types of jobs in any given month. And everything is contained within the existing garage on the property. There won't be any vehicles stored outside. There's no signage. It's always only one vehicle and one project at a time, and he doesn't take another one on until that one is completed. Again, all of the repair activities are conducted entirely within that garage. Don't anticipate any increased traffic due to this, since he's only bringing the cars on as he's fixed them and then they're going in the garage. The noise levels are anticipated to remain consistent with the normal residential activity. All work is proposed to occur indoors, limiting the potential for any noise impacts. Again, no signage is being proposed to be placed on the property. The applicant has indicated the business would operate without creating any nuisances, hazards, or adverse impacts on any of the surrounding properties. The intended use here is to remain secondary and subordinate to the residential use of the property. The surrounding area is primarily a residential in character. Again, this one lies in a cul-de-sac, a dead-end street. So this in-home business is designed to function within this residential setting without altering the overall character of the neighborhood. Again, the public notifications were sent out, certified mail to all the property owners within 200 feet. That notice did describe the proposed use, anticipated impacts, and provided the date, time, and location of the public hearing, which will be the Board of Adjustments. Staff has reviewed this application and has found that the proposed in-home vehicle repair activity is limited in scope, frequency, and intensity. Restricting the work to one vehicle at a time and conducting all the activities indoors does minimize any potential impacts. No signage, outdoor storage, or exterior modifications are being proposed. The limited nature of this operation is consistent with a typical in-home business approval when appropriately conditioned. Staff does find that this request meets the general intent of the use on review criteria, provided the business operates as described in the application. Should the Planning Commission recommend approval, staff suggests the following conditions be considered. One, that the vehicle repair activities do remain limited to no more than one vehicle at a time. All vehicle repair work shall occur entirely within the enclosed garage, and the business shall be limited to approximately 2 to 4 projects per month. No signage related to the business shall be permitted on the property, and that the use shall remain subordinate to the residential use of the property. Any expansion or change in this scope of the business shall require additional review and approval. And finally, on this one, the appropriate sales tax should be collected and reported. Based on that, staff does recommend approval of the use on review for the in-home business at 206 Tulsa Drive, subject to the recommended conditions and any additional condition deemed necessary by the planning board. Happy to answer any questions.
Only question I have on this is there an increased risk for fire with him doing this, having chemicals, things like this? Is that
Probably, I mean,
probably not any more than you and I have in our garage?
right, and so I guess when we reviewed this and talking through him, I mean, this is no different than him having a project, car, whatever, or changing the brakes on his own car in his garage. Being that it is very limited in scope and only doing one project at a time, it really doesn't impact from normal day-to-day what we all would do in our garage. So
Okay.
I don't see that. I think that, you know, one of the things that we do and why we have these use on reviews is that we monitor them, and then also, you know, at some point in time, we do forward this on, especially when we talk about in-home businesses that do have chemicals, or for example, the ones that have firearms or ammunition. We do forward that on to both the police department and the fire department so that they're aware if they get a call, hey, be careful, there could be, you know, cleaning solutions in there, or there could be firearms, or you know, things that would cause a secondary hazard should it be on fire or whatever.
Okay, that was all. I kind of had that feeling that it was more
Yeah,
smaller scope.
yep.
Are there any special requests or requirements for the disposal of, like, if they drain the brake fluid, or change the oil, or drain the gas
Yeah,
tank?
they have to dispose of it properly. I mean, like used car oil and things like that. Of course, the city provides a drop-off location where they can drop it off. I know there's several other businesses in town, O'Reilly's, things like that, you know, you can take your used antifreeze to different fluids. So there are certainly places where you can get rid of it appropriately. Again, you know, we would monitor and make sure that we don't want it dumped on the ground or down the drains, and
Right.
no different than anybody else doing those types
Or
of
that
things.
there's
they're-
5-gallon buckets sitting outside full of
Yeah.
old oil.
Right, those would be the things, and again, remember, on the conditional use permits, those do come back at a year, and again, if we have any violations, if our code enforcement officer recognizes anything, again, he's gonna build a case on it, we would be notified of it, and that would be a consideration for renewing the use on review.
Do you have a question, sir?
Mark Galvin. Rick, you mentioned sales tax. Is this something that requires a state license for? You mentioned that he would collect sales tax. He's gonna be charging for this?
Yes.
I just wondered if just curious if that's a state sales tax, or it would have to be.
It would be, Mark, yes.
Any other questions from the public? Any from the board?
Nope.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, got a first by Dusty. Second by Tom. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
And then lastly, I guess we'd wanted to, as I sent out the agenda, just wanted to mention again, in the month, we're going to be seeing the mobile home one. There was quite a discussion on it last night. And as well, we will probably be seeing a look at the residential camping ordinance that's going through the ordinance committee. With that, Eric, do you want to give any kind of a update or on the mobile home one? Or I can.
Well, good evening, Aaron Jordan, City Administrator. We've been working some zoning issues with mobile home, manufactured home, one zoned areas. Here, probably late fall, we had some banks that were not approving some loans for non-conforming homes in one zoned areas. These were VA loans, FHA loans. Typically, those kind of loans, you don't require a lot of money down, so they're taking on a lot more risk. And since 2010, in particular over the last couple of years, they must have changed their criteria because now you're starting to see some of those loans not be approved because these houses are non-conforming, and if they are damaged beyond 50%, in most cases, but not all cases, they can't be replaced. They would only be replaced by a manufactured home based on what that zoning allows. So we had some discussion. We've been working on this for a little while. Our consultant, Jana Watson, who's been working with us as a planning, and kind of lieu of our planning director, has kind of did a kind of 101 with zoning with our council last night, kind of looked at that problem that we just considered and then kind of get some guidance from the council. Do we want to, option one was, do we just change the ordinance sufficiently enough to, to fix that problem? Or a person who has a stick-built home in a MHA1 zoned area, if it's damaged beyond 50%, regardless if you own that property prior to 1984 when that ordinance was in place, or after, that you would be able to rebuild that home. It'd still be non-conforming, but the bank part of that was the fact that you just couldn't rebuild it. So that would be a very narrow fix to be able to address that situation. The other option was, do we want to do a more comprehensive review and really look at affordability and what we want that MHA1 zone areas to look like across the city of Sturgis? That would be more of a comprehensive, maybe looking at affordability, maybe going back to what it was back prior to 1984, where it was some mixed zoning between stick-built and mobile homes and those type of things. And so the guidance from the council last night was, well, first let's work the immediate problem, and we'll do changes to that particular MHA1 zone areas to be able to make it where you can rebuild your house. And so those people that are in that situation, if that happened, they could rebuild it, and also it allows them to sell their property and be more allowable, I guess, for those other financial institutions to lend money to somebody to be able to buy that property. And then they also want us to do a comprehensive review. So we're kind of looking at doing that first one, and then at the same time, we'll probably start doing the public outreach and just the whole process of going through a more comprehensive review, make sure we understand what maybe the unintended consequences are, mitigate those consequences, and have some kind of zoning that fits Sturgis now and Sturgis into the future, particularly as we address affordability. So, as this planning commission is a component of that, based on statute and times that we're changing those zonings, we'll be bringing it to you and kind of getting your guys' input and recommendations as we go through that process and bring that back up to the council and kind of go through a first and second reading and be able to do that. So I don't know if you had the opportunity to watch the council meeting last night. Again, this has been a topic out there. We've had a lot of comment from people that live in those areas across the whole gamut in terms of the immediate problem, and also just, if I bought a property since after 1984, they feel like they should be able to replace that property. The other part of it is that right now, if you have that property, a stick-built home, you can't add to it. You can't put on a sun porch. You can't add in another bedroom, enlarge your kitchen if it increases your square footage or your foundation space. So those are things that we can consider also as we look at more of a comprehensive review. But again, looking at what are the needs of Sturgis today, not from 1984, and what are needs into the future, and those are things that we should consider as we make those changes in the zoning that kind of helps the city, the residents in our town. So I don't, Eric, anything you want to add?
You nailed it.
Okay.
Happy to answer questions, though.
Yeah, open up the questions to you.
I assume we'll be seeing a draft of that before the meeting so that we can review it.
Presumably, we're going to meet with Jana Watson, our consultant, on Thursday, kind of look at the scope of what potential changes on the council's direction on option one would look like. If there is going to be a amendment made, I anticipate it's going to be pretty small, pretty inconsequential, just allowing those non-conforming uses to be rebuilt in the event that there is damage. But we would anticipate getting you a draft before the meeting, yes. We're just working on some timeline issues of, that would be about 3 weeks out, assuming we can get that done. We do think we can, we're prioritizing that, but we just have some logistical considerations. But yes, it would be in the packet with a staff report.
Okay. Any other questions?
Got none.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron, would you give them just a quick synopsis on the residential camping as well? It's another one we've been working on that likely will come before at some point in time.
Yeah, I think it's still an open question of whether the council will refer it to the Planning and Zoning Commission or not. It is technically not a zoning ordinance, but the city has a history. It has a residential camping ordinance that allows and regulates certain amounts of residential temporary camping in the city. It's usually focused on rally time, but there are other times as well. There is a history of unclear regulations and inconsistent enforcement that's creating some problems with residents. The city council's asked staff to address that, has referred that to the ordinance committee that it created back in May of 2025. The ordinance committee's had 3 meetings so far. In each of those meetings, they have reviewed and workshopped what a potential change to the ordinance might look like. Staff has been in communication with the Department of Health that regulates campground operations and this kind of residential camping. They've indicated that they're okay with a potential ordinance revision so long as that we do that in conjunction and coordination with them. The ordinance committee is meeting again in a week. They want to review where we're at with that progress, and we'll have a draft ordinance that will then be presented in the form of a staff report to the city council, and the city council will determine whether that's ready for prime time, whether that's going back to the ordinance committee, or whether it'll be forwarded to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Right now, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Again, I don't see any zoning and planning touch points in this. It isn't related to our zoning ordinance, so reducing the amount of committees might be appropriate, but ultimately that'll be up for the city council. So just wanted to flag that issue, that's out there. You're certainly welcome to follow along with anything that happens in the city council, and if the council is looking for input or recommendations from the Planning Commission, we'll be sure to let you know.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
No other agenda items, correct?
No.
Well, then I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Alex is
Second.
first, Dusty's a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Hearing none, we are adjourned.